What is going on, guys? Okay, so this video is titled Bullish Stocks for Next Week. So I'm going to talk about 3 to 4 setups that I think are setting up very nicely for next week. These are swing plays that I've been talking about for the past week and a half anyways. And I've done a few videos on the same stocks in the past. But to me, these are going to be solid bullish setups based on the technicals, and I'll explain the technicals as well. So just going right into this, we're looking at APCX. So this is probably my #1 pick for next week, just based on how tight the Bollinger Bands are right now. And we've also got a bullish PSAR signal forming here. And a solid uptrend, I have to say. I mean, given how weak the market was this week and how weak small caps were, I really like how this is playing out right now. I did alert this nice and early for you guys at 59 cents and 60 cents. So a lot of you should already be in this and not be chasing the top here. But it is setting up, it appears to be setting up for a nice move to 80 cents and potentially above that. This stock does have quite a history of going big. Here we can see it moved from $1.61 to 220, 230. Here it had a decent move from 60 cents to 285. So we're looking at the stock down here. To me, it's still really bottomed. I like how the Bollinger Bands are tightening up here as we are moving up, getting some solid buying volume. You can see our positive DI line well above and curling up even more above that yellow negative DI line. So to me, this setup is very bullish. We would just ideally like to see that line continue to be above the negative DI line. We see something very interesting happening here with our MFI. That's really all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say it's very interesting the fact that it's pulling back here. Meanwhile, the other indicators are curling up still. So then we've got our CCI pretty much at breakout levels. If it does cross over 100 potentially, and if there is volume, potentially we could see a nice breakout. So this one is definitely setting up to move. To me, it's more of a breakout bottom play. I've looked at this chart, in the last few candles here, and my thoughts were, okay, this stock is bottom, first of all. Second of all, it appears to be setting up for a nice move as these bands start to tighten up. And then we also got that bullish PSAR, right? So that helps as well. Yeah, so the positive DI line is well above the negative DI line. So this setup is bullish right now. So there's nothing else to it. If the volume comes in, it will run. If the volume doesn't come in or there's no catalyst, it'll probably, to me, it'll probably continue to move up, but on very low volume because it has a history of doing that. But I'm very positive about this setup right now. To me, again, it's an undervalued stock, so I'm going to keep adding on dips until this gets to $1 or more. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else I can really say. There's a ton of room to move up here. That's what I'll say. There's a ton of room to move up. If we look at the weekly chart as well, this looks, on the weekly at least, it looks like it's starting to bottom out. And potentially going to be moving up very soon. We can see our CCI is oversold here, and it had to kind of make a higher low here, and now it's starting to try and curl up, potentially moving higher in the coming weeks. So I also really like this pattern here. So I mean, like, it's been beat down for it's been beat down since $1.70. This is definitely itching for a nice move up. So yeah, so that's probably #1 favorite bullish stock for next week. Definitely a bullish setup. Okay, I think my second pick would either have to be TCBP or CTIB. And then also talk about BTSS. So let's talk about CTIB. So let's look at the daily. Telltale signs are going to be MACD above the signal line, so it's still bullish here. Our MFI trading in that overbought level, but pulling back just a tad. We're at 84.65 right now. It's an interesting setup because our positive DI line is well above our negative DI line. It crossed above for the first time in a long time. The last time it did that, we had a nice bull run from 90 cents to $1.50. So that was a beautiful run. And again, we were on that as well. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, the DI line, the positive DI line trading above the negative DI line is a good sign. We've also got our RSI trying to curl up and our CCI trying to cross over that negative 15 level, which is an interesting level to cross over. And our other indicators starting to curl up as well. So yeah, I like how this is setting up. It's making higher lows as well. There's nothing wrong with this play. I think it's a very bullish setup. It, again, just needs some volume. The weekly chart to me is very bottom, but let's go ahead and look at the monthly. This thing has a big history of big moves. If you look at, this is all I'm going to say again. Okay, so the monthly positive DI line well above the negative DI line. So do with that information what you will on the monthly, and then all I'm going to say for the monthly MFI is this is very interesting. Okay, so I would just keep an eye on this setup, and to me it looks like almost a double bottom setup. If it does pull back even more, I would be buying that dip any day because this is a very financially strong company. They have a great balance sheet. Their sales have been increasing the past quarter, 2 quarters, so and they're very close to making a profit as well. So I mean, and again, it has a big history of moves. So whenever you see big red like that pulling back hard, chances are, it's going to have a massive move to the upside very soon. To me, this could make a move to $3 or $2.50 if you have patience for that. It's just one of those special stocks that I will continue to trade until it either delists or whatever, right? Just keep trading it, keep trading the pops because it's a beautiful stock to trade. And it's not very well known still, which is fantastic for us. Yeah, so this has a big history of moves. That's all I'm going to say as well. I mean, yeah, and potential double bottom on the monthly chart. A very positive DI line above our negative DI line. Positive MACD. Techs are curling. MFI in what I call squeeze mode. So if this were to get some volume, oh my god, it would absolutely explode right now. Okay, so that's my number 2. So number 1 APCX, number 2 CTIB, and then I think my third pick will probably have to be TCBP. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing right now just because it's so bottomed out. I talked about this one in my last few videos. MACD is still positive. RSI still really nice and low, below 40. We may have a minor pullback here, but I'm just going to continue adding. We're still trading above the moving averages, most of the moving averages right now, and our CCI and Williams percent are near breakout levels. So this one is going to be interesting to see how it trades the next few sessions. Again, it's just a bottom play that I've been trading. I'm in at 365, so that's my average right now. There's a decent average compared to where it's at, 39.65. So I'm green on it. I don't really have any worries right now. Still got a positive, a bullish PSR signal forming here. And we've got our lockup expiry on the 10th of next month. So insiders can't sell until that date. So if they put out some catalyst, this stock would absolutely explode. Yeah. So, I mean, look out for a catalyst or a PR going into that date. And there's not much else I can say. I mean, the setup is forming bullish. It's above those moving averages. I like it. Okay, moving on to BTSS or BTCS. This one is a blockchain Bitcoin play. I'm also seeing a lot of blockchain setups forming right now. If we look at LGMK, or we can look at BTCM, FTFT, um, FTFT, GRNQ. FTFT looks beautiful. GRNQ. These are all blockchain plays. I like FTFT a lot. That one's interesting. I'll add that to the watch list. This one's nice because the positive DI line is well above the negative DI line. So this is trying to turn bullish. So I would keep this on watch as well. Also like LGMK, positive DI line, turn bullish here. It's been below for quite a while, and you can see when it stays below, the trend continues downwards. Here it stayed below, couldn't break out, continues downwards. Now it's finally above, got some nice volume. So this one's interesting as well. So I definitely keep the miners and blockchain plays on watch. One I'm watching very closely, which I think has huge potential for, I think 100% or 150% move, is BTCS. This is one where it's been so beat down for so long. Interesting thing to note is that the CEO owns over over 1 million shares at an average of 379. So potentially that can come into play as well if they try and pump the stock up and turn green on that position. You never know. It's always nice to see some executives have a large stake in a stock though, especially when the theme is starting to fit. Blockchain could potentially make some moves. If you look at Bitcoin really quickly here, see how it's forming here, and funnily enough, there are some nice equity setups starting to play out. You can even look at PBTS, another blockchain play that's made a really solid move. Continues to stay bullish. Bitcoin is looking pretty solid. I think, I've talked to Metanaza about this, and he said, we might make a move to 25K, and I think that's quite possible. If we look at where that resistance is, you draw your lines there, it's right about there, right? 25, 5 to 25. Really nice move today from blockchain, from Bitcoin. It's looking bullish to me. So I would keep those miners on watch and keep those Bitcoin plays on watch that are securities, that are stocks as well. GRNQ, FTFT, BTCM. You can look at EBON. You can look at CNET, AEHL. There's so many of them, but the ones I like to watch are definitely GRNQ, FTFT, BTCS. So BTCS to me, going back to this play, if I can find where I put that, here we go. To me, this setup is setting up very bullish. I like where our MFI is sitting as well. Definitely near squeeze levels, above 50 and below 80. This has a chance to absolutely explode, especially with RSI below 35, below 40 still, and trying to curl up. Our other indicators are trying to curl up as well. I like the setup quite a bit. I thought that pre-market move, which didn't have a lot of volume, there's only like 1,000 or like 1,500 shares traded, was very interesting. I think there's something happening here. So I would keep this on high watch, and we also saw some nice loads come in, especially with blockchain starting to pick up and Bitcoin plays starting to pick up. I would definitely keep the miners on watch. This is probably my favorite Bitcoin play. Yeah, I mean this reminds me a lot of IINN, just super beat down but very undervalued. Yeah, like I've done a ton of research on this one, and to me this is a $2 stock at least. But we'll have to see what happens here. It's going to depend a lot on Bitcoin, right? So it's a risk you have to take, but to me, I took this trade because I saw potentially Bitcoin moving up the next week. So we can kind of confirm that today. It's looking pretty solid today. So we'll have to see how Bitcoin trades the next week, and then potentially we can see a nice move here. Or they put out some news and this just explodes like IINN did, which is very possible. And then again, just noting that the CEO owns. Just look at Open Insider BTCs. Yeah, so there's four. So it's way off. 4 million shares at 379. So that was a few months ago that he made that purchase. So that's a lot. That's a lot. So the question is, does this CEO want to pump the stock up? Potentially make a profit, or just there's a stake there. So there's a vested interest, and there's a lot at stake. So if Bitcoin does start to move up, are they going to decide to pump the stock up again? It's a question, right? I really like the odds here. Like, I like how beat down this play is. It's just so bottomed out that to me it kind of has no choice but to explode upwards. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about this one. I think I'm gonna end the video there because it's dragging on. Really excited about next week. We've got a lot of plays that are forming and setting up very nicely. I think we'll get a few 100%ers next week. So yeah, I'm stoked, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.